Hi friends, this is Hannah from Handmade by Design, and today we're going to be doing 3 complete makeovers from items that I purchased at the thrift store. DIY number 1 is a very cool piece of artwork that is on corrugated cardboard, and the back is frayed, and the bird with the design on it looks like it has been crackle painted, and I just love it because it is so different and unique looking. So we're going to give this an updated look. I begin by using chalk paint in the color of Plaster of Paris from Waverly, and with a little bit of paint on a chip brush, I go around the entire frame and dry brush the white paint onto the frame. I'm not worried if I have too much in one area or not enough in another area. All I'm doing is going around the entire picture frame and painting the inside of the frame, the top of the frame, and the outside of the frame. Also, don't worry about taping off the glass. This paint is so easy to remove from the glass, so no need to tape off your work. Once the paint is dry, I apply white finishing wax, and I do not know where I bought this wax. The brand name of it is Hello Hobby White Finishing Wax, and I absolutely love this finishing wax because it is the color of a very light stick of butter. It has just a hint of yellow in it, which is perfect for my purposes because the chalk paint that I used was so white that the yellow in the wax is going to tone down the white chalk paint quite a bit. I rub the wax with a clean, soft paper towel until I am happy with the look of the picture frame. This is more like it. I'm really liking the way that this picture frame is turning out. And once I have finished buffing off the white wax, I come back in with some dark wax. I sparingly paint the dark wax all over the top of the entire picture frame. Although since we've added white wax, you don't have to worry so much about the dark wax seeping into the wood. So I apply the dark wax and I go back and I rub everything down until I'm happy with the way that the picture frame looks, and I absolutely love it. I go back and I clean the glass with a clean paper towel with some alcohol on it. And with that, this project is complete. I love the way this bird turned out, and all it took for a complete updated look was a few coats of paint and wax onto the frame of the artwork. And here it is hanging on the wall. And if you want to make it more interesting, you can also add the frame inside of another picture frame. DIY number 2 is a sad little plant that I picked up at the thrift store, but I absolutely loved the vessel that it was in. It is some kind of hard rattan, and I paid $4.49 for it. I gave the whole pot a coat of Waverly chalk paint in the color Milk Jug. I just held up the leaves and the branches and went over the entire piece. This took 2 coats because it was a little bit difficult to get the paint into all the crevices and to cover up the dark paint that had previously been underneath the lighter color. Once I had the 2 coats of paint onto the pot, I started working on the top of the plant. The leaves were in good shape, but there were very few cherry blossoms on the tree. So I had some picks of cherry blossoms that I purchased from Temu, and I just removed them from the stems that they were on. I was unable to use the stems that they were on because those stems were brown and the stems in the plant that I picked up at the thrift store were green. And for each little spot where a flower had come off, I just placed a little bundle of flowers on there. When I pulled these cherry blossoms off of the pick, they came off in bundles of 3 or 4. So that is how I applied them. I started by dry fitting them to see if I liked the way that they looked, and I love them. They're just beautiful. So I started using the hot glue gun, and I glued all of the white cherry blossoms onto the stems where the pink cherry blossoms had been. And I made sure that I added the white cherry blossoms absolutely everywhere that there had been a pink cherry blossom until this plant was laden with cherry blossoms, thick and full and luxurious. When I turn the plant around, you can see how sparse it actually was. There were hardly any flowers on this plant at all. I love the quality of the cherry blossoms that I purchased from Temu. They are really beautiful, and I love the colors. I love the shape. They're just wonderful, and I also love the price. I keep adding the cherry blossoms, and as you can see, the original cherry blossoms on this plant were pink. So when I reached that point on the plant, I just took a pair of scissors and I carefully cut the pink cherry blossoms off, leaving the little stem that connects the flower to the branch so that I could add the branches or the sets of 3 of the cherry blossoms directly onto the branch where the pink cherry blossoms are. And as you can see, I am hot gluing all the flowers that I had previously dry fit. From this point forward, I'm individually gluing on the 3 little bundles and adding them directly onto the empty spaces on the branches. And this floral arrangement is looking so beautiful. Here I am cutting off the pink flowers because unfortunately they don't match, and in its place I am going to be adding the bundle of 3 of the white cherry blossoms. I continue doing this until there are no more pink cherry blossoms, no more empty spaces, and this floral arrangement is filled to the brim with beautiful white cherry blossoms. I take individual cherry blossoms and add them to any empty spaces or any place where the hot glue is showing. And I have finished with the floral arrangement portion of this project. Now we're going to go back to the vessel, and I'm going to use the white wax, the same white wax that I told you has a little bit of a yellow tinge in it. And it works perfectly for this project because the florals are a buttery cream color. They're not completely white. They have a little bit of a yellow hue to it. So adding the white wax to the basket that they're in also tones down the white and lends a beautiful buttery color to the vessel that they're in. After I add the white wax, I go in and add reindeer moss beneath the leaves of the plant. Adding the moss just lends one more element to giving this plant a high-end look. And this makeover is complete. I am so pleased with the way that this floral arrangement turned out. The rattan vase is absolutely beautiful with the buttery cream color on top against the dark leaves with the reindeer moss, and the cherry blossoms on the top of this plant are just laden. So I'm going to try and get a full picture in with the video camera for you to see in just 1 second. And here is the complete makeover of our cherry blossom floral in the rattan vessel. And I think it came out so beautiful. I couldn't be happier with it. And it's also much larger than I thought it would be. I'm not sure where I'll put it, but I'm really excited about having this beautiful floral arrangement in my house this summer. Our next DIY is an interesting canister that I picked up at the thrift store. I really loved the shape of it. I loved the knob on the top of it. I loved the uneven lines along the sides of it. And I just thought it was so interesting and so beautiful. After completely cleaning the canister inside and out, I decided to place 2 medallions on the front, and one on the front and one on the back. And I selected a medallion that's really interesting looking. It looks almost more like a crest than it does a medallion. I purchased the mold on Temu, and when I use a mold, I always put a little bit of cornstarch into the mold. I just brush it in with a large brush and turn it over and shake out any excess. This prevents the clay from sticking to the mold, and it's wonderful because it makes the molds, especially when they have very small and intricate designs in them, it makes them much easier to take out of the mold, and they come out in one piece. It works very, very well. I use DAS air dry clay. I think that it cracks less than other air dry clays. It's easy to work with and it's easy to use in a mold. It's my favorite clay by far. I used Aleene's all-purpose glue to adhere the medallions to the canister. I like that glue and I use it on a lot of my projects. I applied it to one side of the canister, allowed the glue to dry, and then turned it over and applied the second medallion onto the center of the canister on the other side. Once the medallions are dry, I use glass paint by Deco Art to paint the medallions. I painted them white because I wanted them to blend in with the ceramic, and the glass paint has a sheen to it. And although the glass paint was shiny, once it dried, I also added a coat of high gloss Mod Podge onto the medallions off camera. And that gave them even more of a gloss, and it looked like they were just part of the canister. And with that, this project is complete. I love the look of this canister. It looks so elegant and clean lines, and I love the fact that the mold blends into the piece rather than jumps out of the piece, and the lines are just so interesting. I love the top. I love the shape. I love everything about this canister. I so enjoyed working on these projects for you, and I hope that they inspire you to make something beautiful. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And that way you'll be notified the next time that I put out a video. Thank you again, and I will see you next time.